Coach, what's going on? How are we doing this Tuesday morning?
We're doing great. We had off yesterday and the day, and I've got to talk to you. I've got to go to my monthly luncheon. I've got to
Mm,
go to TJ Ribs and do the radio tonight. Just a
jeez.
off day, the life in the world of coaching.
It never ends. But, Coach, that is something and at this point, I don't love to keep I don't need to keep bringing up stuff like this because at this point it's just what you've done. But like when you got this job, nobody went to the games. You said we're going to change that, and you change it through winning, but you also change it through relationships. Everything that you just said, getting out there in the public, shaking hands, meeting people, the power brokers, everything else. What did it mean to you that on Super Bowl Sunday, a couple hours before the biggest sporting event in America, to have that incredible crowd that was in the PMAC on Sunday? Like, did you take any moments to reflect on just how far y'all have come?
I have not reflected, but I was very much aware. It was electric in there. I acknowledged it after the game on the radio. And, T-Bob, you're right. Winning puts butts in seats. But if you don't have a relationship, and that's just something I believe in, and a lot of coaches don't believe in it. They don't get out in the community. They don't raise their kids in the community. I raised my kids in the community in Waco, Texas, and this is what we created there. Coming home, I don't have my kids. They're grown now, but my connections to the state, you still get out. You speak everywhere you go. You embrace everybody, and then winning, man, it helps as well. And to think that we had that many people, and a lot of season ticket holders did go to the Super Bowl, and I just encouraged them every chance I got to speak is give your tickets to somebody. Just give them to somebody, and let's have people in those seats.
Well, and the people showed out, and it was raucous. And then once again, the team came through. After the game, Coach, I can't remember if it was KG or Miracle, but one of them was talking about how you're always preaching to them about impact. Like when you get in the game, your goal should to be able to make an impact no matter the amount of time that you're in the game. And I just wanted you to kind of explain that philosophy to us, how you communicate to them what you mean by with that kind of impact philosophy.
Every player in any sport wants to play. And I tell them when you get that opportunity, impact the game in a way where it makes it hard for me to take you off the floor. And I don't mean scoring the ball. I mean, if you're a defensive stopper, man, take a charge, get a steal, make something happen. If you're a scorer, go out there and contribute. Whatever it is that you're good at, impact the game in some way. And our bench, I don't even like to use the word bench. I can only play 5 at a time.
Yeah.
Those that came in when Flage and Morrow got in foul trouble in the third quarter, man, they won the game for us, really. They extended the lead. They impacted the game. They played extensive minutes because it was hard for me to take them off the court. And that's what you try to get. You try to make them understand. It's not about the 5 that start, man. I got to have 8 and 9. And when you get your opportunity, produce.
Well, and Coach, I want to talk about the bench because Tennessee is known for that style where they play a ton of people. They do like full hockey line shifts. I know foul trouble is a contributing factor, but did you get the feeling at all that maybe your team wanted to show some of their depth, show that, okay, you're known for playing all these people, but guess what? We can keep up too in that regard.
Well, first of all, that is the most unique thing I've watched. I can only think of Westhead. Paul Westhead used to play a style like that back in the day, but not on the women's side have I ever seen. I think it's probably a case of they want to wear you down, and I'm not changing my philosophy. I'm not subbing like they do. I'm going to go with my rotation based on the feel of the game, and I just thought that our bench was so valuable, particularly in a game like that when they are subbing a lot and they bring in fresh legs. But it didn't change how I approached the game. but I just can't emphasize enough late in the season, this is what you want. It's not something I haven't been preaching to them. I mean, I'm in that locker room, we're in that film room, and I'm telling them, guys, we have to produce when you get in the game, no matter what rotation you're in. If you're my seventh one or if you're my eighth one, we got to produce. And, man, they did. I know we talk about Miracle and we talk about KG, but I can't say enough about Jada Richard, the only freshman we have. We win by 5. She hits 2 big buckets and scores a free throw. And her minutes were valuable. She didn't get the minutes Miracle did or the minutes KG did, but what she did and the minutes she got was so valuable.
Well, and it goes back to that impact that you were talking about. There's plenty of ways to impact the game. What about growth points, Coach? Because, again, this is the second game against Tennessee, and the impact of the press are very different between the two games in that you weren't forced into a lot of turnovers this game, and you kind of credited the fact that in game number 1 you had so much success in creating open looks and layups. What were your biggest growth points that you saw out of your team from Tennessee game 1 to Tennessee game 2?
Well, I don't know Tennessee's scouting report, but I'm going to address that from what I thought was different. When we played them in Knoxville, they pressed, and we really handled the ball well. We only had 14 turnovers for the entire game, but when they were pressing, we would beat the press and get layup after layup after a layup. And, I mean, we went up 18 points, and the amount of points we scored in the paint was off of transition layups because we took care of the ball. I found it to be different this game that Tennessee did not press us like they did. I mean, they were there, but it was different. It was like they did not want to give up those layups they gave up in Knoxville. So it was more of a half-court defense. And so, consequently, we only had 13 turnovers this time around. So taking care of the ball was key, especially when you play teams that try to get a lot of steals.
And Coach, one other kind of theme or trait of this team this year has been their ability to close out close games. You know, every time y'all are in a dogfight, y'all seem to find a way to come out on top. And it's different contributing factors every time. I mean, Sunday, 20 of 22 from the line in a game that ends like that? I mean, absolutely critical. My question to you is, you've done this for so long, and you understand the value of how these things carry over into the future. Is how important or impactful is this ability to win close games when it comes to tournament time?
Well, I will say this. Of all the teams I've coached, this team has really, other than one game, they really have learned how to finish games that are close. They don't get rattled. That doesn't mean that we're not going to lose close games. We've got one coming up Sunday, guys.
Yeah.
It matters to play at home. And my goodness, you saw them go to South Carolina, talking about Texas. They get blown out at South Carolina, and then they get another chance at South Carolina at home, and they beat South Carolina. So there's something to playing at home, and it's real, especially when the teams are of equal talent, and it's just going to be a tough one. We're all tied. 3 of us are tied for first place, and that's an honor in itself, but it's temporary. But it just tells you that when this season is over, you've got some SEC teams that are worthy of 1 seeds, and don't just pick one out of the SEC. And we'll see if that happens. But finishing lots of tough games brings that experience that when you're in a tough game, whether you win or lose, you've been there many, many, many times. And it just seems this year it's been just a ton of times.
And what Coach is talking about there, this Sunday, 2 p.m. in Austin, Texas, a top 5 matchup, the 5th-ranked LSU team going against the 3rd-ranked Longhorns. It is going to be an absolute battle. Coach, what does Texas do so well that, what does this give us a quick scouting report on the Longhorns?
Well, first of all, I can't believe I'm going back to Austin, Texas after doing it for 21 years in the Big 12.
True.
Never did I think I'd have to go back to to hear the highs, the Texas are, anyway. But I will be in the new arena, Moody, and what you're going to see out of Vic Schaefer teams is the same thing we used to see when he was an assistant at Texas A&M for Coach Gary Blair, the same thing he did at Mississippi State, and that is hard-nosed, aggressive, tough, push, shove, whatever it takes defensively. That's how they play now. He used to press a lot, but does not press as much. But anything they do in a half-court defensively, it can be ugly, and it just makes you look bad if you don't take care of the ball.
So can't wait for that game on Sunday. Going to be so much fun. Coach, what about this? There's a pretty cool event, and we'll continue to talk about this over the next month or so. But coming up on March 11th, 5 p.m. in the Cox Auditorium, you're going inside the courtroom with CBS News' Jan Crawford. It's a Q&A with you. Tell me a little bit about what to expect at that event and why it's so important to you.
Well, I'm real excited about the event. In fact, you guys are announcing it before anybody else, including myself. I was going and have permission to announce it today at my monthly luncheon, but we need to promote it. We need to let everybody be there. Ann Crawford is a legend in she's with CBS, and she's been doing the legal corresponding for 30-something years. She knows everything about the Supreme Court. She has written a book about the Supreme Court. Jan and I became friends through mutual friends, and she's a divorced mother of 4. And I know, T-Bob, it's hard to believe that I would, number one, be a friend with a journalist, okay?
True.
And number 2, she's a dang Alabama graduate.
Oh,
so
God.
She's a little country girl. I know it, from North Alabama, went to Alabama. Common thread, she and I do love Nick Saban, but Jan, in her own right, she is a journalism major. She ran the student newspaper, an editor of all that stuff at Alabama. Then she goes and works for the Chicago Tribune. Then she goes to law school, gets married, moves to D.C. and becomes, a legal correspondent. You see her every day on CBS.
Yeah.
Just turn it on. She's always doing stories, especially when the court is in session. And the thing I love about her most is she's a good Southern girl. She's never forgotten her roots, but she's so dang smart. And her youngest child plays college basketball at George Mason. So we have that common thread. But I want everybody to come just listen to her and just for me to be a part of it. It's kind of like it's going to be a fireside chat. And we need to show up and show out like we do at my ball games. That place, Cox Auditorium, seats 1,000, and let's get in there for about an hour and have fun with old Mulkey and a journalist, if you can believe that.
A 5 p.m. Q&A inside the courtroom Tuesday, March 11th, the Cox Auditorium. We'll continue to discuss it as we get closer. Coach, I could tell that you were tickled with KG's answer in the postgame about how she turns it on against Tennessee. What'd she say, that Tennessee picked up the phone a little bit too late in the transfer portal?
Yes, and I said, well, thank goodness. But I got to tell you, y'all played sports. We've played sports. Little things that matter to us may not matter to a coach or to another player. We all have internal motivation. And I noticed this about KG. When she is, like, on fire and she's really feeling it on the court, she will kind of mouth off to the other team's coach. And I finally asked one of my coaches, I said, what is she saying down there? And they didn't know if she was going to get in trouble if they told me. But what she does is she'll just say, you should have recruited me. You should have recruited me. And so she's got this little chip on her shoulder, or whatever you want to call it, that when she's doing good, she wants to, like, say those things to opponents. And I tell her, you can't do that. You got to stop doing that. You're going to get teed up, and you're going to cost us. And furthermore, they're not going to like you. They're not going to. She goes, I don't care. I just have to get it off my chest. I don't care.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about, dude. Coach, look, I mean, until it becomes a T. Until it becomes a T, I don't know. Coach, you're the absolute best. Good luck this week. Good luck on Sunday. Cannot wait. I cannot wait to watch. Thank you again.